This section has me baffled. Using the brackets instead of the studs on the side, that might do the trick here. It's closer. Maybe that's good enough. See, where that falls apart is when I put the rest of these on. They don't line up with that. Here, you know, then there's going to be a gap there. I think if I want, I got to put 2x3s. One thing I've learned from mock building is don't get too attached to your design. Like, don't be afraid to take it apart and go backwards. You know, because that really can lead you to, you know, something really cool that you didn't, it'll lead you down a different path that you didn't think of before. Something else I don't like about this so far is how heavy it is. Like, it really is chunky. So I'm gonna try to think if there's ways where I can lighten up the load here. Maybe it's fine and I should just leave it alone. But see, I worked so hard to build it strong. Now it's gonna be a pain to get it all apart. Again, this is one of those ideas that I have, and I'm gonna try to go down this path. I don't know if this is gonna work. I think there may be some cheating in here, that there's gonna be a gap because these are not the same length, you know, as of these pieces vertically. So there's gonna be a little gap. And I think it'll be hidden, so that should be fine. And at this point, I'm a little worried that I might run out of these 2x3 slopes. Nothing kills a project like running out of parts in the middle of a build. And then this edge will be the next challenge. But I imagine it's either going to be a cheese slope or we'll see. Maybe even just a regular slope there. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Kind of work on that transition around to the front and match this side. Okay. But see, I'm also worried that this isn't going to work because these slopes stick up more than this. At this point, I do have to say I'm feeling a little stuck here. But I know that you keep building through these moments, and then that's when you kind of have a little, hopefully a little epiphany or something. I want this middle section to be strong. That's what I'm working on here. See, it's not gonna work. Maybe I can cover it up. I can do that in the front, but not the back. Okay, so there'll be like a little notch here where maybe I use a 2x1 round slope, and I gotta figure out a way to get it in there so that I can come up vertically here. And that's fine. I can live with one little notch, you know, you can make that a little detail or something. Okay, I'm not giving up yet. But yeah, here I'm going a little, you know, Lego group technique-wise by building all of these Technic plates on the Technic bricks, connecting them all on the inside. And I'm also making it extra strong. Remember, I went with a goofy, no, I'm doing this wrong. I wanted 3 studs wide. What am I doing? Yeah, I wanted 3 studs wide, so that's an odd width to work at with in Lego. All right, so I'm gonna have a lot of, I think torsion would be the right engineering term. I'm gonna have a lot of torsion on this guy. You know, it's gonna be holding the strength between these 2 sections going this way. So I want to put all these connections in here. And that, you know, they put so much Technic in Star Wars sets, so I am kind of challenging myself to use more of those techniques and, you know, use more of those parts too. I have so many Technic parts after taking apart some Star Wars sets. See, what I'm worried about is that this piece needs to be reinforced on this side, but we'll get to that later. So it's really not too bad. I mean, as long as this is strong. See, and this does give me a little versatility while I'm building, that I can take it apart and work on this, and I'm not completely taking apart the whole thing. And then I thought I would build the bottom with brackets and build like this, but that's not going to work because I don't have a 1x bracket. And especially once you put the weight on here. Well, why are they lining up now? You know why? Because if you connect them by the lower half of the slope, they don't line up, but I guess if you connect them with the top, they work. So I went to the 1x4s so that I could put the studs on the side on the ends. So I think I'm still gonna go this route. But what using I got too many parts here. I need to clean up a little bit. But what using the 2x1 slopes, if I can get those lined up, that solves my problem with the 2x3 sticking out this way, but it also gives me another row of bricks. So what I'm gonna do is have 2 rows up here so that I can have these 4 Technic connections. And then I think I'm gonna have to reinforce these pieces inside, maybe going across so that it can take all the twisting. I'm putting this pin across here. I don't know if that makes any difference, but at least not with that connection. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to using this black angle piece just so I can reinforce it this way to help with the flex here. All right, I just had to put it all together again just to make myself feel like I made some progress today. At this point, I'm anxious to get some of the details done. I think I like the design I have. I need to do a lot of reinforcing here. It still flops around. I need to finish some parts on the inside, so I'm going to do that first. I'm going to do that next, and then I'm going to really start to flesh out some of the details. At this point, I'm looking at this, seeing if these Technic pins are gonna be a strong enough connection. Like, it does wobble a little bit. It's like these structural kind of designs, these are what keep setting me back. I think I'm making progress, and then, you know, I keep having to go back and re-engineer this thing. What I think I need to do is hide a row of plate connections, like in the middle here. Kind of sacrifice one of my round slopes here. This is one of those little splashes of sand blue that I've been wanting to put in there. The targeting sensor is going to be a challenge. I have not figured out how I'm going to do that yet. I even considered leaving it off because I don't know that you can really see it in Empire Strikes Back if it's even there. But all the source material seems to have it. It showed up in Star Wars Rebels, so I think I want to include it. I think that's something that people will be looking for. So my idea is to come out of the slope there. I haven't figured that out yet. I think I'm going to leave that alone, but I've got the opening there so I can come back and do that. I want to get tops on. So now it should get exciting. Now I can start to do some of the details. You know, and that's when a build gets fun. That's when it really kind of comes together. So I'm going to start with this side because it's going to be easier. I think I'm just going to generally enclose it with the 2x3 slopes, but I'm going to do this little raised section here, and I'm not sure exactly. Maybe I'm going to do darkish gray slopes in there. I kind of have an idea. We'll see. At this point, you know, it's not going to be all light gray. I kind of want to break it up, you know, just, you know, for one, Lego does that. Looking at a completely all gray model, I think that gets a little boring. So where you have these little details, you can throw in some different colors, you know, that just helps break it up. And it kind of also gives the illusion of details, you know, where you can't always have these tiny little greeble parts, but you can kind of just break it up with some color, and that helps. Again, I've got my phone here with my pictures. See if you can see on this section, there's this little raised section. And I think that's about, maybe I'll go in another row and then do that. At this point, I'm feeling pretty good about the shape, the structure. It's feeling pretty solid. Like you can pick it up, shake it around. It's not twisting too much. So I'm anxious to get some details going. I've done a couple experiments here in the front with this mechanism. I think, you know, maybe this is where missiles fire from here. And kind of came up with a new technique tonight. I had an idea, ran down here, tried it out. I'm going to switch some colors around, but I think this 2x1 round slope is how I'm going to do this thing. I've avoided, for the most part, going online and looking at other MOCs. You know, I want these ideas to be my own, but I was struggling with this, and I even looked at some pictures today at other MOCs, and I didn't see another good idea. And kind of had the idea to use these cheese slopes, not cheese slopes, these round slopes, kind of on my way home from work today. So I think that's what I'm going to go with. I want to work on these sections over here a little bit, and then I think I'm going to work on the top here. Here underneath, I'm using this technique I used on my TIE Fighter, where if I use a 2x1 plate, you can use the inverted slope here to stick into that, and you can put it in the middle, which is something I didn't come up with. I didn't discover that technique, but it's a really neat one, and I'm hoping, I'm using these slopes here. I don't know if they're gonna work, but I was hoping maybe that would be strong enough to actually support it and hold up the whole ship here. I mean, that's kind of the look, that it's got some really beefy supports here, so I'm gonna go with that for now. My pilot's flopping around there. All right, I'm gonna think about that while I work on some other stuff. I do that a lot, where I kind of have an idea and maybe it doesn't pan out the way I originally intended, so kind of leave it alone and go work on something else for a while. I'm just kind of going through different pieces too to see if any of these sections I've created, if I could do something different with a different kind of round slope. And my idea for this section is to use some sort of hinge here in the middle. So this section of plates, and there's going to be all sorts of greebles and detail on there, so that can lift up so I can get to the cockpit. I'm doing that since I decided not to use, you know, this TIE Fighter dome piece, because, you know, you look at the details in the pictures, and that piece just doesn't fit. That's not how it looks. It's got this really distinct flat rectangular piece, and I think this will work as long as I can nail some of the details. And I thought about having the whole thing open up and you know, maybe do some details back here with some engine or, you know, whatever. But I think for now, I'm just going to close this back section up. I had tiles along here, and I thought the cheese slopes, the 2x cheese slopes, would fit pretty well. I think that works pretty good. Glad I had enough of these. So now I got to figure out a hinge system, and maybe it's just that simple. I'm just trying to build a little lip here so the cockpit rests on there. Here I go, taking things apart again. Okay, now I just got to build an anchor here for the other hinges, and then to rest, you know, the rest of my section here. I'm going to take out a row of the round slopes and add the cheese slopes, and now I need one more notch. So this is another time where I'm going to sneak in a little splash of sand blue. I may come in at the end and decide that it's too much for that. We'll see. All right, that fits in there. I'll be able to put the pilot in here. All right, that'll work. So now I'm going to start looking at my pictures and really start to develop some of these greebles here on top. This is where it gets fun. It also gets challenging, but this is kind of where the model really gets made, I think. When I'm doing greebles, I like to use this flat silver color. You know, a little mix up from the dark bluish gray. I have this one little drawer just full of all these tiny parts, like, I forget what you call those things, but these little binocular pieces, nozzles, these guys. This is kind of my greeble go-to container. Don't want to overdo it. That's always the hard part to greebles. And you're just kind of trying to be creative using parts that are, you know, they aren't intended to be used at all the way you want to use them. And it just comes up with neat little details. Like, I'm just kind of making stuff up here. I do think I'm going to run some tiles along here because it is raised up a little bit. People are liking some of my Instagram stuff that I posted today. Just saw Down Under Bricks liked my picture. It was, I take pictures and post these on Instagram as I'm going along. So hopefully some of you have seen some of those. So the picture I did this morning, at this point I'm trying to be real cagey and not show this much detail. You know, I don't want to give it away. You know, I'm just trying to give updates though that I am working on it. Kind of building the suspense a little bit. And I love these grill tiles, but you can overdo it. So I'm trying to be careful here. And intentionally leaving studs too always works too. See, I've just collected, I use this note called Evernote where you can kind of dump groups of pictures into this thing and, you know, share them on your computer or whatever. So like this, I've got a screen grab actually from Empire Strikes Back. I don't see the targeting sensor below that, but it's not a very good picture. Some of these are models that people build, but they're pretty good references. And then I got some pictures from Star Wars Rebels, season 2 episode. You know, just you can really kind of see how pronounced this flat top section is. I wish, that's a great shot of the side there. The middle section's raised up a little bit, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to add a layer of plates Got these pictures of Hera and Cham, you know, kind of showing some of the interior. See, this is what greebling looks like. You just keep trying different parts. You know, I'm never gonna match this exactly. And I'm starting to trip over all my drawers. That's gonna be time to clean up soon. But because I created this crazy situation with 3 sections wide, it kind of creates a challenge for doing some pieces in here. You know, it's just not conventional. You know, most Lego works better when you have even numbers. But I'm using these 2 jumpers and a tile here so that I can do a tile here in the middle, and it actually lines up being in the middle of the whole section. I don't know, that's kind of cool. Again, just enough sand blue there to really make that work. I'm gonna put all this back together too. There's this look here of these 2 little notches coming kind of over. Trying to see what I can come up with that for that. In the rear, I have a different situation. I did these studs, but because of the round slopes, the 2x3s, like I don't really have enough room to get anything on top of those, and I don't have a good picture of what the back looks like anyway, so I'm just kind of making this up. Okay, I like this. A couple of dark blue droid arms. Okay, cool. Let's fill in this little space here. I think I can fit a tile under there. You know, it's time for a splash of flat silver. Pretty happy with that. Okay, so I quit working on this a little bit so that I could do this, because I think if I build this up, that's going to get in the way. This picture shows some good detail there. Okay, here's an idea. I got these 3x3 plates. Put those under there. That'll work. And then I'm going to use these inverted round slopes just to kind of put something in there. There we go. I think that middle section's done. Getting really close. I think if I can get this targeting sensor done. This whole exercise was just to add the other support here in the back. I really like the look that this creates here, and I wanted to continue it in the back. It's kind of hard to take apart all of these plates when you really got them in there, but you know, I think that detail is worth it. The next thing I want to do is build a stand. The weight of this thing is too much for these hinges, so they you know, if I try to set it down, they just collapse. So I just want to build a little something down here so it can just kind of rest on. And I wanted to put these inverted gray tiles on the bottom to give me something to kind of lock into. But first, I have another idea that I want to do something on this side where I want to do a little mechanism here where it can drop bombs. Actually, maybe I'm going to put it in here where I want to push a little button, and then I'm just going to use some Flickr missiles and one of these pieces. This is my idea, and maybe I'm going to do 4, but I just want to push a little button back here where it pushes on these things and releases the bombs. I'm entering this in a contest on Brickset, and one of the categories is play features. I'm usually not the biggest fan of play features, especially spring-loaded shooters, but you know, since that's the contest, I'm going to give it a shot. Okay, so I had to change the bracing that goes across here for the round slopes, so I can make a section here where I can make a little button that I'm going to press in here that will allow me to push on the missiles and hopefully drop those away. What I used here is I used these headlight pieces, and then here a brick on the side, and I was able to I'm going to span this hole I have in the bottom, but this way it's supported on either side.
I'm glad that worked out. Like all the plates and stuff lined up. That doesn't always happen. And I wish I did more of that, where I had a better handle on exactly what actually would work and what wouldn't work. And just some plates in here to reinforce it. So now on the bottom, I can press those up, and it's pretty sturdy, it's pretty rigid. And I like that you can see that there are some bombs in here. That'll work, as long as I can make that trigger here. I just put these inverted tiles on here while I was thinking about it. I've only got 4 of those, so I didn't want those pieces to disappear. Trying to come up with a way to anchor this button so it just moves up and down. So I'm using some of these door rail pieces and the door frames. My idea is that it's just gonna move up and down here. Those pieces don't line up, really. So if you put the door frames and the door hinges, that's actually wider than 4 studs. It's like 4.5. Okay, so I'm going to just have a 1x4 here, and then a column of bricks on either side, and it's going to slide up and down. And then there'll be a little tile down here at the bottom so it can't stick to this brick. I think that'll work. Now it's just a matter of supporting it, and I might have to make some adjustments here on my button so that it props up enough so you can actually press it. And I want to support this stuff laterally here. Alright, let's see if this actually works. I think I need to raise it 1 more layer. Ah, come on. The button doesn't quite move enough. You guys have to be sick of watching me lift this off this top again and again. Here we go again. My button doesn't move all the way up now. Tried to put a layer of reinforcing across here, and that's blocking the movement. You know, this is the part of the build where things could start to go wrong if you get frustrated. And I really hope this thing doesn't stick up too high. You know, I don't want to compromise the look of the model for the functionality of, you know, the toy feature. That's kind of one of my rubs against a lot of Star Wars sets. You know, they have all these toy features, but to me it's a model first. Not to say everybody feels that way, but that's just my opinion. So at this point, I'm even thinking, like, I don't love how high that sits up, you know, but I may even pull that mechanism out after I submit for the contest. You know, it's not the most sophisticated mechanism. I think I could spend more time on it and come up with something a little better. One thing about my construction techniques inside of there is I keep adding all these layers of plates and bricks, and it just adds to the weight. And I think that's kind of a little bit of a concern. You know, if this were a real set, it would be. So I'm just want to build something simple. I'll put some tiles up here, but the idea is that these pieces will kind of rest in there and lock in. And I just have to build it just high enough so that the wings don't rest on the ground. Now I'm okay with this concept because, of course, we never saw that in Empire Strikes Back, but if you've seen it in Star Wars Rebels, you know, they actually park in their ships and their hangars, and they're actually kind of hung from the top. You know, realistically, this isn't enough, but that's not enough sturdiness in a real ship to hold up all this massive stuff inside a hangar with bombs and everything. So this concept of putting a little thing under it, I'm okay with it. It is exciting to be nearing the end of this. This one's taken me a lot longer than I expected. The design was more complicated. I think I got pickier than I thought I would. but I'm happy with the results. I think it could stand to be one more row of bricks taller.
And here it is in its final form. This project was a lot of fun. I'm really proud of this thing, really happy how it turned out. If you want to check out the more detailed video where I kind of talk about the specific features, I'll link to it up here in the cards, so make sure you check that out if you already haven't. And I'd appreciate a thumbs up on this video, leave me some comments, and if you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'm always working hard on new videos. You don't want to miss out on those. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'll be back soon.